Hello everyone, welcome to Pushover, your product placement puzzle game for DOS. I've put myself on this menu here just so I can show off this little opening again, because, this game has some deep lore and deep plot. This was the first game in the most recent DOS Cathlon, and, well, I really liked it, so I'm here to show it off again. So here's the plot. Colin loses his quavers. That's it. That's the plot. Colin is doing something. He's eating his quavers, and then for some reason he drops every single bag into an anthole. Every single bag. All of them. He wants them back, so it's up to us, GI Ant, you can see the pun, to go get them back. That's it. That's the plot. So yeah, this is a pretty fun game, and I have no idea what a quaver is, but you know what? It must be really important. So time's gonna go ahead and start when we click the OK button here. This is an all keyboard game. I'm playing entirely on keyboard. All right, so we'll go ahead and get this started in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is a game about dominoes. You line up the dominoes. You get one push. You have to knock them all down with one push. The block with the 3 red lines on it is the trigger block. That has to be the last domino to fall, and you cannot move it. Everything else you can move. This solid red one is a stop block. It cannot be knocked over. You don't have to knock it over. It's the only domino that you don't have to knock over. But anything that hits it will rebound off of it, so move it out of the way. Next, we've got this one with the solid red block in the middle. That is called a tumbler, and well, tumblers are basically perpetual motion machines. But we're already going to start looking at a little bit of a time saver here, because oops, I didn't start pushing that at the end, so I got to take this block here, move it right in front of the trigger so that it gets knocked down. Lots of small little time saves you can get there. This block with the line down the middle is an Ascent Block. It flies, so it just goes up there. This entire first zone, the first 11 stages, is the Industrial Zone, and it's basically a tutorial to the game. So that yellow block on the right there with the line in the middle, that is a bridge. It creates a bridge when it's knocked down over a gap of 1 space. If your gap has 2 or more spaces, it's just going to fall down normally. This right here is a splitter. When you knock a domino onto it from above, it's going to split into both directions. Uh-oh. A little bit of a pathing error there. This is an explosive block. You knock a domino over onto it, and it's going to explode and create a gap, so kind of the inverse of the bridge. So, in DOS Cathlon, we basically did 20 stages of this game and then stopped. I'm doing the entire game. That's going to be all 100 stages, so that divided into 9 zones, each with 11 stages, and then there's a bonus last stage. So this stage is basically teaching you about putting stop blocks one away from where the yellow falls down so that you can rebound it. What comes next? I think it's the Vanish Block? Yeah, okay, 2 red lines in the middle. This is a Vanish Block. This block, once it falls over, it vanishes completely. It can't go over ledges, so that's why we have to move it to the left there. Next we have the Tumbler Block again. I'm not sure why the game thinks it's important for me to repeat on the Tumbler Block. I guess the important thing here is that you don't always have the entire stage available to you, so kind of keep that in mind when you're working on puzzles. This right here is a delay block. Delay blocks are actually really useful. When you hit them, they're going to wait a little bit until they fall down, but when you hit them, the block rebounds, so that's actually a pretty good way to get split paths if you need them. This is the 11th stage in the Industrial Zone, and that's where we're going to find our first quaver. They're curly. We're going to move on to the Aztec Zone now, which is going to be where we start seeing our first real stages. This one right here, the limiting factor is our ability to get to those blocks up top. So we need to place the Ascent Block in the correct place and then just move forward. In the next stage, we're going to start seeing what is usually the challenging part of most of these stages, which is figuring out where the chain actually starts. Which block are you supposed to push to start the thing, and then once you start it, what do you need to do to complete the chain? Well, in this one, the chain starts down here at, oops, I pushed one to the right, so I guess I gotta move this here in front of the trigger to stop the tumbler one space early, which is a little bit of a time saver. Let's see, coming up next. Alright, we've just got some explosives that we need to line up here. Now, I think you're supposed to line up both the top and the bottom by moving everything, but you can save yourself time on the top one by moving one block up a level so that you don't have to rearrange anything on the top level. And yeah, as Fragor mentioned in chat, this is available on the Super Nintendo. It's available for DOS, Amiga, and Super Nintendo. So, a bit of a note on the trigger block. It has to fall over completely before you can open the final door out. But if you place a block to the left of it that vanishes upon falling down, then that's going to count, because the trigger for the trigger block is it being completely 90 degrees fallen over. So if something prevents it from falling over completely, then you won't complete the level. So you have to have stuff out of the way. But a block that vanishes as it falls down counts as getting out of the way. It's a nice little optimizer. In this stage, you do have to move the delay block all the way to the right, because the tumbler is going to rebound off of it and go toward the trigger, but if you don't have that delay block all the way to the right, then the tumbler is going to knock down the trigger before the remaining blocks fall. Sometimes you can save a little bit of time by carrying blocks over an edge and falling down, but you can't fall too far, because GI Ant will die if he falls too far, and it's not a very far distance. Uh-oh, that's my phone. That must mean my car is ready for pickup. I'll have to do that in about an hour 20. Yeah, there's a lot of puzzle in this game, and it can be fun if you're into the puzzle stuff, but it does take a while to think about, and it did take me a pretty long time to get through the game casually. Alright, so for this one, I believe you are supposed to start the Tumbler Block at the top there, but you're actually going to save a little bit of time by bringing it all the way down here, and then pushing it right, because Tumbler Blocks, while they do move endlessly, they're kind of slow when they're moving, so sometimes it's better to just pick them up and move them closer and then push. Yeah, we've got another little bit here. We do have to move this stop block a little to the right. That's going to make the bottom path of dominoes finish a little bit sooner, which is good because we can't delay the top path where the trigger block is. So if we don't finish the bottom block soon enough, then the trigger block will fall too soon. And if this were DOS Cathlon, then that's where this game would end. We are 20 stages in. Some of the later stages do get quite a bit longer, so don't think that I'm going to be done in like 35 minutes or anything. We've got 2 more stages in the Aztec Zone. This one is just going to be a simple, make sure the yellow block is left 1 in order to stop the tumbler in the middle. One of the things that you have to figure out how to solve a lot is how to stop a tumbler, because if the tumbler is still moving once the trigger block falls, then you don't have it. So figuring out how to stop tumblers is oftentimes a major part of the puzzle. This is a rather boring stage. The Ascent Block clearly goes there, the bridge goes right here, and you just kind of move them place to place. Don't try to carry the Ascent Block over the edge, because Ascent Blocks will leave the planet once you walk over an edge with them. like they activate. Now we are in this zone with some pretty good music. So you're supposed to move something to the top there, and then start the chain of blocks. But you do have just enough time to move this up here after you start the push to get it up there. Yeah, start your pushes as soon as you are able, if it's gonna work. Destruct block here, but note that the chain to the left is not going to finish until I have moved that yellow block, but I can't move that yellow block then come back up here and start the tumbler, so I'm gonna have to move it after I have pushed the tumbler. So you're gonna see a lot of races like that later in the game. Speaking of races, this one, every block is in place immediately, and you can just go ahead and push it, but you have to beat that explosive block to this ledge, or else you will not be able to reach the exit once the tumbler falls. Yeah, make sure you are able to reach the exits, because otherwise you're going to have a little trouble. So I'm going to do a little tactic here that's not introduced until later, but it saves me a little bit of time. If you carry a block over a splitter and then you go over the edge, the splitter will activate. And I haven't used my push yet, so in theory I could push something if I wanted to, but I didn't need to push anything. It was a little faster to just drop the thing than it was to set it down and then push it. But you're not supposed to learn that until like World 4. So we see something similar to stage 19 here, but I do have to push the tumbler up here because there's an incomplete chain down at the bottom. So I have to move this over to the right. The delay block will give me just enough time to complete the chain there. So yeah, the Aztec Zone kind of started introducing some of the puzzles. This is when it starts to introduce some of the trickier puzzle elements. For example, for this stage, most of the stuff is in place already, except for this detonate block, but I can't put it down yet because the tumbler would fall on top of it and they would crumble into dust. So I have to wait for the tumbler to move and then put the explosive down so that a domino up top can reach the trigger. Yeah, you gotta move stuff sometimes right after you have started the chains. Now, I think I am supposed to move the 2 blocks up this ladder before I start this chain in the bottom left, but I do have enough time to start the chain and then start moving these. And you do have to move them because they're gonna stop that tumbler from reaching the trigger. Found another Quaver, good. How many is that, 3? Yeah, these levels are starting to get a bit complex. I don't know a fast solution for this level except to move the tumbler down here. There's also an Ascent Block that I'll have to move here. One common thing you might see starting with this level is that sometimes you have an Ascent Block that needs to go up, but then the chain needs to continue at the same level as well as the level above, and tumblers are usually good for that. A tumbler will activate the Ascent Block and then keep going. There's not much to this stage except just move the Ascent Block over here to get to the chain above, put the tumbler over here, and I did try starting the chain early in practice, but I couldn't get the tumbler in place in time, so you gotta place everything and then just start it. Tumbler will be on the right, it will destroy the explosive block, fall down, activate the splitter. You can't do anything down there because otherwise you wouldn't be able to reach the exit. Yeah, this anthill is a portal to another dimension. I don't know what the intended solution to this is, because there's two paths left and right, and usually when I try to activate both paths at the same time, the one on the right finishes first, which is not good because that's where the trigger block is. So instead I just carry something over the edge to activate the splitter. That makes the left finish first, and then we can just go with the right one. I think next one is this really... Yeah, this one. This is one that I've really struggled with. It only gives you a minute and a half. Did you see the timer in the lower left? You have a time limit on all of these stages. And this is one in which if you try to get everything in place ahead of time, then you're going to run out of time pretty quick. So instead, start the tumbler up there, move this Vanish Block out of the way, put it in front of the Ascent Block, and then, oh, there's one more block here. Got to put it down to stop the tumbler. You can't move it one left because if it falls over the edge, then the tumbler will continue going, and then the trigger block will not do the thing. So now we're in the fourth zone, the electronics zone, and I think I'm supposed to place the tumbler, but I'm just going to go ahead and activate this chain of blocks now. I will carry this tumbler down and then put it to the left of the trigger block. Yeah, by the way, I hadn't used my push yet, so I could just push the tumbler and the trigger. That's all I needed to do. The electronics zone is going to be the zone of try not to overthink it, because there's going to be a lot of very long chains in this zone, but you only have to move like one or two things, if at most, to complete the chain, and then you can just push it. Oh yeah, some of these puzzles do get really diabolical. I think there were several times later on when I had to look up some solutions. I believe I am supposed to have this chain of yellows triggered by the splitter, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'll just place the Ascent Block here, go ahead and push this to have that, and then oops, I've used up my one push for the level. I can't push anything anymore, so I gotta pick this up and then drop it onto the splitter. Oh, I'm good. Okay. I didn't have to worry about the push then. I will move this as far left as I can so that the tumbler does not have to go down the steps. It's just a small little time save. What have we got? Ooh, this one. I got stuck on this one. So, there's two paths, but your only way to split the paths is with an Ascent Block, and so the solution to this is kind of diabolical. You would think you have to put the Ascent Block right below the gap, but no, put it one to the left of the gap. Because then it's going to ascend, fall over, knock down the thing to the right. I could not figure that out. That was diabolical, that was mean, but that's how you solve this one. What do we got here? Okay, so this one isn't gonna be too bad. You do have to have this delay block downstairs here, because the path to the left there is going to finish sooner than it should, so you need to have a delay block. You could put the delay block at the top of the stairs, but then it's going to delay every single time it falls, and that's really slow. The only delay you really need is right before it hits the Ascent Block. So you put it right before the Ascent Block, and then you should be able to do it. This is one that I think there's a faster strat available, but I don't recall what it is. So the trigger block has two lines of dominoes going toward it, but the thing is, as I've mentioned earlier, the trigger block has to fall over completely, so you're gonna have to stop one of those tracks, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop the one on the right just because it's faster. So what do we got next? Oh, right. Yeah, I can remove this. When a domino falls over onto another domino, except in the case of a splitter, it usually crumbles into pounds, and then if anything crumbles, then you're no good. You do have enough time to grab this block. You have to grab two of the blocks to the right of the trigger block for it to fall over completely. You do have enough time to bring it up and then push it. This one you can push, but I'm not going to be able to complete the chain until after I move this stop block down after it has already been used. So, a small little introduction to a mechanic, which is sometimes having to move stop blocks around in the middle of a push in order to make sure everything rebounds to where it needs to go. Oh, and you're going to see a neat little interaction with all the Ascent blocks down there. Kind of looks like one of those Jacob's ladders. What do we got here? You do have enough time to start this chain immediately, but you only just barely have enough time, so get moving, because it's gonna approach you pretty quick. Tumbler right before a bridge so that it will be able to keep going, and the delay gives me just enough time to do this. Fast strats. You do have enough time to place everything beforehand, but starting your push as soon as possible is the best thing to do. So on this stage, this is where you're supposed to be taught the drop blocks on the split mechanic, because you have a bridge at the top, and if you push it, then it's just going to form a bridge and you're stuck. So you have to pick it up and then drop it. That's the only way to finish it. And yes, the rule, as the question in chat, what are the rules here? The rules are every domino with yellow in it must fall over, and the trigger block, the one with the 3 red lines in the middle, has to fall over last, and it has to fall over completely. And yes, you get 1 push. You can activate blocks sometimes by dropping 1 block onto another, but you only get 1 push. You know, Colin, I am getting your quavers for you. Maybe don't laugh when things blow up in my face. Here's another one where it's easy to overthink, but all you really need to do is find the starting point. The starting point's down here. Push. Oh, the Greece zone is next. I think it's Greece. And by Greece, I mean the country, Greek. Yeah, some of the puzzles start to step up a little bit here. For this one, you're gonna be taught a little bit about keeping a tumbler going. I do have enough time to move this red block 1 to the right. You have to keep this tumbler going back and forth until the chain is able to complete. Because the tumbler is going to be what activates your trigger over here. Yeah. A lot of these stages are going to be pretty difficult, and again, try not to overthink everything, but it is really easy to look at this and think, where am I supposed to start here? For this stage in particular, you're supposed to start at this second level on the left, but I think you are supposed to place an Ascent Block down at the lower left and then push that, but that's not what I'm going to do here. I'm just instead gonna start with the tumbler right here, take this and move it over here, and then I still have 1 more Ascent Block, so I'm gonna walk off the ledge with it. Its planet needs it now. Bye bye. And yes, that counts. I have managed to get rid of the Ascent Block that way. It's activated, it's gone. Ooh, here's another one that's easy to overthink. You only have 42 seconds or so for this stage, but there's something a little bit diabolical going on. There's the exit in the lower right. It's very easy, if you do this wrong, to leave a domino blocking that, and then the domino falls over, and then you can't access your exit because a fallen domino is blocking it. But the delay block that falls to the right is no longer blocking it. But careful not to block the exit. We've got a little bit of a common thing going on starting here, which is that explosive blocks need to go over splitters. Most of the time, if there's a splitter already in place, put an explosive over it. And then you've got a little bit of a race to get down here before the explosive blocks your path to the exit, but this stage isn't too bad. Here's one that you can again start immediately, but you can't complete the chain until you move your stop block all the way to the left. The delay blocks are going to give you a little bit of time, but move it 1 left, because if the delay block falls right on top of the stop block, both will crumble into dust and you fail. What do we got here? Oh, this is a relatively simple stage. Everything on the bottom is already in place except for this 1 yellow block up top. You're not going to be able to put it into place until the bridge is created, so push the tumbler, then move this into place, and the delay gives you just enough time. Yeah, here's one where you're gonna have to make use of the drop onto splitter mechanic in order to make progress. You gotta move these blocks, you gotta unblock the exit, you gotta place these blocks where they need to go. So the explosive needs to go over the splitter that's a level below. Then you need to place this splitter somewhere that you can activate it. And then you take this and you activate the splitter by dropping it. I haven't used my push yet. The music between this and the Super Nintendo version is going to be mostly the same but different instruments. It'll come across a little different, but it's the same music, mostly. Now, most of the stages between this and the Super Nintendo version are the same, but a couple have slight differences. So, in like 95 out of 100 stages, you'll be able to use the same solution, but in a few of them, you have to do something slightly different. The music is really good, though. I love this music. I am doing this with AdLib Sound Blaster. MT32 is available, but I chose not to use the MT32 because then, for some reason, the game can no longer have the sounds of dominoes falling over, and I found that not satisfactory. Anyways, in this stage, I'm not sure what the intended solution is, but it is possible to start that chain in the second to the bottom with the delay. The delay blocks rebound off of each other and go both ways, so you can finish that quickly. Ooh, here's a kind of interesting one. I think this is the first time you're really going to have to consider this mechanic, where the Ascent Block goes up to where the Explosive Block is, and then the Explosive Block clears the path for the Ascent Block. But yeah, you're going to have to start 2 Ascent Blocks and also continue the chain at the bottom, so the Tumbler is going to be used to continue the chain at the bottom. Put that yellow block there for just a moment so that I don't have to go all the way to the top and then come back down. Unfortunately, I do have to place everything before I can do the push. And let's go. Is this a stage where the door on the left opens? In most stages, the door on the left is the one that you entered from and the door on the right is the exit, but there are a couple of stages where that's flipped around, and I don't remember. I'll just go here. It was the one on the left. Okay. Here's a diabolical one. You have to start this immediately because once you come down here to place the bridge, you'll not be able to start the chain. So you have to start that tumbler immediately, come over here, place the bridge before, and then fall down. It's a little bit diabolical. We're moving on to the castle zone now. The castle zone has a couple of interesting things, although this one is going to be pretty straightforward. You have a whole snake going on here, and only one stop block to continue the snake. So you're going to have to be racing the blocks as they're falling down, and placing the stop block to rebound everything as you get there. You don't have a lot of time to stop and look around. Keep going. And yeah, as far as I know, every version of the game has 100 levels. However, in order to get to the... first things first, there's 2 chains going on here, and so I'm going to stop the chain that leads to the trigger block, so that I can push down those dominoes myself and lead to a small little delay. But then I can push this immediately when down. But yeah, and this one you're mostly just gonna be activating splitters with drop blocks, and that's not quite the optimal solution, but whatever. Yeah, you just activate each chain. Now for this set of blocks on the top, you need to make sure to unblock the exit first, so you're gonna have to do that. Besides, you can't. That Ascent Block on the right is not going to activate these things on top anyways, so you have to save your push for that. Here's one that you can start immediately. We're again going to be racing to place the stop block where it needs to go. You get plenty of delay though, but then the game's going to do something a little bit mean, and there's two gaps here, so I can't outrace this Tumbler Block very much until it reaches to the bridges and completes the path, and then I have to place this all the way to the right here, otherwise I will not have time to place this explosive block. Oh, saw the victory animation there. If the ant is moving when the trigger block falls over, then the victory animation will not play out. I've actually been skipping that animation this entire time by starting a movement right as the trigger block begins to fall, and my visual cue for that is trigger block begins to fall, start moving, and I'm 2 spaces away from the exit. Ooh, here's an interesting stage. So you're supposed to push that yellow block at the top and then start a snake at the top there. But instead, I'm pushing the Tumbler Block immediately and then bringing this yellow block all the way down, because what was supposed to happen was that the yellow block blocks that tumbler at the top, while the tumbler that's on the second level, you move some stuff around so that it can rebound off that stop block on the second level. But since I didn't do any of that, I now have 3 tumblers going at the same time, although I didn't have to go through the entire snake. So I have to stop 2 of these tumblers before that one level up reaches the Tumbler Block, but the yellow block that I brought down, it's going to do that. And that solution saves a lot of time on that level, because that's a pretty long level, and anything that makes a snake go faster, worth doing. Place the explosive right in front of that bridge, so that when you trigger this chain down here, the tumbler is going to knock over the bridge, fill in the gap, and then move on to the trigger. Stop laughing! I'm doing this for you, Colin. This stage is fairly straightforward once you identify where the start is, and the start is in the upper left. You need to put delay blocks so that you can split the chains in these various directions. But small little speed optimization, start with the bottom delay block and then work your way up, because this delay block you place right here will then put you in prime position to keep going this way so that you can move up here and then start the push. I believe it's the one on the right. This is another fun one. Start the tumbler immediately, and then place the delay block so the tumbler at the top of this stage will rebound off of it and start going right. But you don't have a lot of time until you have to get this bridge, pick it up, and then put it here, because you're going to need to complete that path up top for the tumbler to make it to the trigger. Alright, so down here, just the start's going to be in the middle left. There's a couple of things to consider. If this yellow block remains there, then it's going to cause something to rebound, to level up, and fall onto it, and then explode. You don't want that to happen, so we're just going to move that block out of the way. This middle level, 1 yellow, 1 detonate. Finish the chain down here, then push on the middle left, and then we're good. Yeah, Colin likes his crisps. We should only have a couple of stages left in Castle. Yeah. This is gonna be another one where you start the chain and then you start moving the stop block. Oops, not that. Move that. There's only one stop block you can move here, so you're gonna have to take this, because there's a tumbler second from the top that's gonna fall down, and you need it to rebound to the right here so that it doesn't fall on top of the trigger, because that would destroy it. But then you have to move the stop block all the way to the right to make the tumbler turn around so it can get to the trigger. That's gonna be it for the Castle Zone. Coming up next is Toyland, and I think Toyland probably has some of the puzzles that have caused me the most trouble. So, I'm not even sure how to explain this one, except you start the Ascent Block here, you move the Detonate Block over here, you move this to the right a little bit, move the Detonate Block here, gives you enough time to move this to the left, take the bridge down, because the tumbler that just fell down to the left here is going to be the one that activates the trigger. I don't even know how to explain that one. Let's see, I think this next one is another race. Yeah. You need an Ascent Block at the bottom middle here, but the only Ascent Block that you can reach is on the other side of this bridge. To activate this bridge, you push the tumbler, grab the Ascent Block before it's knocked down, and then you have to bring it all the way down before the next tumbler makes it. So, place it right here. Toyland has some really diabolical puzzles, and some of the fast solutions to this are really quite amazing. I enjoy this zone. Okay, yeah, oh, this is a super complicated one that I've gotten stuck on many times. So, on the left, you're supposed to have those tumblers at the end there. You have to move this Vanish Block out of the way so that you can come over here to get this Delay Block, because the Ascent Block on the left side is not going to be able to reach all the way to the top until you place a Delay Block second level from the top. But then small speed optimization, I'm not leaving this tumbler here. I'm going to bring it down here. I don't think I'm supposed to do this, but this is how I'm going to optimize my solution a little bit. Start. But now this yellow block is blocking the exit, so I'm going to move it out of the way, but then these Vanish Blocks are going to activate the trigger block, so I need to place the yellow... Uh-oh. Okay, we're good. Place the yellow just in time to stop the tumbler. That's a challenging one. It's really challenging. Here's one where I think all those delay blocks in the middle left, I'm supposed to be moving those in some manner, but you can avoid moving them at all by taking this stop block here and then placing it here, and so that's going to make it so that the left path will rebound and knock down all those delays. But that means that you need to have this right path. Hold on, I was not supposed to move the delay over. Oh well. That means this right path will have to activate that detonate block, but it'll work. Yes, my old man puppy dog has returned. He was at a park. He's tired now. Oh, this is one that I can never remember a straightforward solution to. Okay, I'm gonna go with the splitter on the right side because that makes that chain of things go a little bit faster, but then a couple of the delay blocks here need to move. This needs to move to the left here so that I can take this tumbler and place it on the end to the right there. Then I need to place another delay. I'm trying to delay that left path as much as I can. Is that everything? I think, yeah. If the tumbler hits that block, then it's going to block the exit, so I need to move one of those up here. And then I will go ahead and move this over here. Not that. you know what, just push from this end, and then I'll activate this with a drop. I think that'll do it. I think that's the puzzle. I don't know if that's the intended solution, but it's a solution that works. Sometimes the game gives you a lot of options. Oh, here's gonna be another race. I don't know if I'm supposed to push that or if I'm supposed to be carrying it all the way down, but you do have enough time to push it, come over here, move the Ascent Block to the left here, that way the Tumbler moves past it and activates some stuff, but then up here you need the delay block to be right next to the pit so that it will be activated. Do I? I don't need to move that, do I? I have to double check that actually. I've been making that assumption this whole time, but now that I think about it, I'm not entirely sure I need to do that. Alright. Here's another fun one. We've got a bit of a symmetrical thing going on for this stage. The start is... Let me start that stage over. That is not the block I was supposed to be moving. I was supposed to move the Ascent Block that is right here. You move one block here, and then I have enough time. And several zones ago, I mentioned that delay blocks fall downstairs really slowly. Well, you can see it in action here. But I do need to move all of this stuff so that it's symmetrical on each side. And then, let's see, this has to move all the way to the left to unblock the exit. I'm going to go ahead and delay here just a bit because the exit opened, but the trigger fell onto another block. That's what happens when one block falls onto another. But the trigger already fell, so I'm safe. Yay. The one instance in which I can actually have two blocks crumble into rubble, but I still get through the exit. Just wanted to show that off. Oh yeah, this stop block was going to stop the Ascent Block there from completely falling over, so you do need to move it out of the way, and then this does need to go all the way to the right here, but that stop block to the left of the trigger is going to stop it from falling down, so you need to pick it up. But then we've got another rule in place: you can't be carrying anything when the trigger falls over, or else the door will not open. So even though you don't need to knock the stop blocks over, don't be carrying one once everything is all said and done. Now here's another stage. I got stuck on this stage. I had to look up the solution. So you start the tumbler. Uh-oh, that's not good. I was supposed to fall down where the detonate block was. If I don't fall down immediately with the detonate block, then I won't have enough time to grab the detonate block that is on the level down. Yeah. So move the detonate block so that you're creating a hole that goes all the way from the bottom level to the top level, and you can offset it a little bit, like one tile each level. It doesn't have to perfectly line up, because the Ascent Block at the bottom will fall over into the gap and then keep going up. And I'm doing it like this so that I can place the Ascent Block as far to the left as possible, activate it as soon as possible. That yellow block in the lower right will stop the tumbler. Yeah, this is a difficult one, and one where it's really hard to see what the solution is. This stage is also going to look kind of similar, but you don't have to get an Ascent Block all the way up. You just have to get the tumbler all the way down. But pick up the delay block after the tumbler rebounds off of it. You can place it back down, and what that's going to do is allow me to have the tumbler hit both of these detonate blocks to the left and basically skip the second level. Unfortunately, I'm not really going to have time to move any of the other detonate blocks, because I need to take this yellow block down. There's a delay block right in front of the trigger, and if I let the tumbler hit that, then it's going to rebound and keep going. So I need to place this right in front of the delay so that the tumbler gets stopped. Last of the Toyland stages. Your one push has to create this bridge. In order to activate this next part, you're going to have to pick up a block and then drop. Now you can see the exit is right here, so in order to get to that exit, I need to take this bridge and then place it right in front of the gap so that I create the gap. But there's still that yellow block in the middle of that platform to the right that is a block that is going to get fallen on unless I move it to the left. And so that's it. That's going to be it for Toyland. Next we're coming up to the Dungeon Zone, which is probably my least favorite zone in the game. It's got the music that I think is my least favorite, and, well, some of the puzzles are unimaginative. I'm not a big fan of the puzzles in this zone. This one is somewhat okay. You start the chain at the top, and then you're trying to create some tumbler detonate chains here to keep going, so that you can knock over everything. So yeah, move this detonate all the way to the left, move this to the right to complete the chain, and then unblock the tumbler. You do that quick enough, your stuff will complete before all these delay blocks fall over. This stage is one that's really easy to overthink, but keep in mind just these two rules. Place the detonate over the splitter that's already there. There's a detonate right here, and then give the tumbler a way to get to the detonate by creating a bridge. And there's a bridge block right here, so go ahead and take this. Put it in front of the tumbler, and then go to the top and activate everything. But if you see the chain as it's ending at the second from the bottom, you're going to see that a tumbler is going to be activated in the lower left, and that it's possible that in the lower right, yellow will fall over and activate that Ascent Block, which we don't want because then the tumbler in the lower left is going to be continually going and nothing's going to stop it. So I'm going to be racing these to the end of the chain right here, and I'm going to stop this chain here, bring this down. Bring the yellow block down. This yellow will both stop the tumbler and activate the Ascent Block. What do we got here? Ooh, another one with a not so straightforward solution. Activate one tumbler, but then bring the other tumbler down, and then you place the tumbler in the lower right here. This is probably the most interesting solution in this zone. Bring the Ascent Block to the left here. That yellow block is going to stop that tumbler from going. Now you might think you can't do anything with that second from the bottom, but the detonate does create you just a little bit of wiggle room to place a stop block there so that the tumbler will rebound and then go. This one, you have to activate this by dropping onto the splitter, and then you have to push this Ascent Block before the bridge is created and blocks its path. This tumbler is going to be going, and there's nothing that's going to hit these blocks at the bottom, so you need to trap that tumbler right there and then start moving these blocks into place. And you know what? Having a block in the far left there was slightly inoptimal, I think. Unoptimal, but whatever. Complete the chain here, then unblock the tumbler. And don't be holding the stop block once you unblock the tumbler. So start this chain right there immediately. The tumbler is going to end up on the bottom level and then rebound off of this delay block. In order to get to the trigger block up there, you're going to need to move this Ascent Block. And then you're going to move this yellow block to stop the tumbler. Here's one that looks a lot. It looks to me like the one of the more complicated solutions from Toyland, but unfortunately this one is not that complicated. It's just all around a lot easier. You got your special blocks here, and well, if you've gotten this far, then it's probably straightforward with what to do. Splitter right there to go 2 paths, Tumbler right before a bridge, Tumbler at the bottom here. And then you can activate the splitter by just dropping another domino onto it. You take this other domino, you're going to bring it down with you, and then, you know what, just stop right here, because that's going to stop the tumbler. It doesn't really matter though, because nothing's going to reach this trigger block. So move this to the right here, and then use your 1 push to activate the trigger. And that's part of the reason that I don't like the dungeon zone, because it seems to reuse a lot of puzzles from earlier stages, but they're easier. Speaking of easier stages, I give to you what I consider the most boring level in the game. You have 10 splitter blocks, and when you look at the way everything is arranged on the board, it's really obvious what you have to do. Move all of these splitters to those gaps. And you're going to snake all over everything, and you're going to be going down and up, and down and up, and down and up, to move every splitter to where it needs to go. You have 4 minutes to do this stage. The solution is straightforward, and it's not very interesting. So, I'm sorry, this is the most boring stage in the game. I don't like this stage. This stage alone is probably why Dungeon's my least favorite zone. The start is in the upper left, because you've got no way to activate anything up there, and there's just no way you're going to move all those blocks downstairs. Oops. Oh, oops. I didn't bring that splitter all the way down, so I'm going to have to take a different path for this one. I'll have to deal with that. Yeah, the only real way you can optimize this stage is to carry the splitter over edges and drop it so that you're taking slightly shorter paths, but that's about it. 6 splitters down, 4 to go. How are y'all doing, chat? I'm having fun, actually. I love this game, even with this stage. This is a very fun game. Yeah, there's 4 more splitters down here. Gotta move all of them. Alright, everything's in place. We can finally push this. Oops, it's a door on the left one. That's another reason to not like that stage. This is gonna look like another stage from Toyland. I think it looks quite similar to one that I solved there, except there isn't a block in the upper left to push, so I'm no longer racing against time. Instead, I have enough time to go ahead and do this. Do I really have to place the delay blocks at the end there? I don't know for sure. Maybe I don't at the top level. I'm gonna have to revisit that. Alright, so let's see. There is an Ascent Block right here. The Ascent Block has to be on the right there, because if the yellow block is right next to the stop block, then it's going to rebound and destroy the tumbler that activates it. So put the Ascent Block on the right. Then there's 2 ways I could activate this thing here. I can either drop down a level and push from the 2nd level, or I could move a block right from the level up and then push it. But I'll just drop down a bit. Moving blocks is slow sometimes. Don't move stuff if you don't have to. There's an alpha version of this for the Atari ST. That sounds really cool. I should check out the Amiga version of this too. If y'all are interested in this game, there is a leaderboard, but there's only 2 runs on the leaderboard right now. One is for the Super Nintendo version by Cart7, and then the other is for the DOS version by me. There aren't any Amiga runs on the board. Alright, so for this one, you're gonna need to delay the chain that goes to the trigger block on the left. So the delay blocks have to be moved to the left. That's about what you can do here. Then move down, start the chain. Yeah, Cart7's Super Nintendo run has been there for years. My DOS run only went up like December or January. What do we got here? Another one that I think there was supposed to be a more complicated solution, but really the usual rule of put the explosive over the splitter applies, and then you just complete the chain up here. I don't even know what that bridge block is supposed to be used for. But I'm just going to use it as part of this chain, and then it's not going to be used as a bridge. So place this here, and then push. The remaining splitter here is going to go down here to complete this chain. I'm not sure that's the intended solution. One more dungeon level. We've got another little bit of a race here. Push to the right here, and then keep going here. But you're racing yourself here. Place the detonate block right over here, and then go to the left, pick up the yellow to activate the splitter, drop it. And that's it for the dungeon zone, which means now we're going to move on to the last zone, but also my favorite zone, Japan. The reason it's my favorite? Largely the music, but also a lot of the puzzle solutions are really interesting. Okay, move this Vanish Block to the left. If it's right next to the stop block, it will rebound and destroy the tumbler. Go down here, get the stop block, and then place it in front of the tumbler to stop it from going off to the yellow, because you need that tumbler to activate everything here. So, let's see. Bring these Vanish Blocks down. The tumbler is going to activate everything. You can put the Vanish Block to the right of the trigger here. You don't have to have it all the way up there. The Detonate Block is going to get your tumbler down to the trigger. Again, you cannot move trigger blocks, so everything has to be brought to the trigger. And yeah, I love this song. Oh, I messed up my victory animation there. Here's one that stumped me for a little bit too. See, you have to start that chain, and there's all sorts of delays going on, but you have to complete the chain down to the trigger block at the bottom here. So what you do here, cut off this chain here. Don't try to grab from the end. That was something that I was doing, and it kept messing me up. Cut off the chain so that you don't risk those things falling over, but then continue the chain at the bottom as long as you can, so that while you're placing everything, there's still stuff falling down. Oh, and then we got this stage. This is another one that stumped me for quite a bit. First, I'm going to move this delay block right here so that the tumbler on the top right will have less distance to go. But now we have 4 tumblers going, and we have to make sure they don't do anything. So what are we going to do? We're going to pick them up while they're in motion, and then place them. Now hold the space bar here. A lot of your movement can be buffered, but I had a lot of trouble doing this stage with the pickup strat by trying to rapidly tap the enter button, because I would keep missing the tumbler, but then I found out you can just hold it down and it'll work. Alright, so for this one we've got some stuff happening at the bottom here. Again, the rule of put the detonate block over the splitter applies here, so we're going to move this detonate block over here. But we want the tumbler that's on this level to continue for as long as possible, so we need to move this yellow block to the right so it will not stop the tumbler, and then we need to bring one more block down here and start the tumbler. We have to have only 5 blocks up top in order to have enough time to place everything. So yeah, as the tumbler goes, you're gonna take this stuff here and start placing it down. And you do have just enough time to do this, or you should. Uh-oh, slight delay there. Do I have enough time? I'm gonna have to place this a little further right, which won't lose me any time because my limiting factor is the trigger block anyways, so I guess it's alright. Oh, another challenging one for me. Start this chain up here, but then you've got some stuff to do here. There's going to be an Ascent Block rising up here, so you're going to need to move that yellow and then move this tumbler over here so that they will be activated. You've got an Ascent Block here. This Ascent Block is your only way to reach the trigger block, but you don't have time to move it right now because the tumbler is going over, going to hit this delay block, and you want the tumbler to keep going. Let's see, you want the delay block right here. You want to stop this tumbler so that both tumblers on the left will go in the same direction. Wait for the delay block to rebound. Pick this up. Drop this. Okay, good. Now the tumbler is stuck. Everything has fallen over except for the Ascent Block. And so I can move it down and then unblock the tumbler and we're good for this stage. But the solution is not straightforward. I've had to look this one up many, many times. Solve it once, come back to it, still don't remember the solution. So this one, tough point is again identifying where the starting point is. It's second from the bottom on the left. But then you also need to somehow complete these chains, and so you're going to do that by activating the Ascent Blocks as you carry them over the edge. And so that completes those chains. Completing 2 of them is enough time for me to go ahead and start this. This bridge block has to be carried out of place because the detonate block is down there and it's not going to be reachable unless I move the bridge. So cut off this chain at the top here, because if you leave that Ascent Block on the top, then that's not going to activate before the trigger block does. What do we got here? We've got a more interesting version of that stage, of that dungeon stage that I did not care for. You've got a bunch of bridges and splitters to move around. You're not snaking as much, and it's a little more interesting. You're doing splits and bridges, and it's fairly clear where they should go. Bridge the gaps, split at the ladders. But we do have one other slightly interesting thing going on, which is at the exit and the lower left. You need to fill that gap, so you do have to place a bridge right in front of the trigger block. Now, I used to think that I had to activate this by carrying a block over the splitter and dropping the block and activating it with a drop while moving one yellow and the bridge down and pushing them manually before I did that. But you don't have to do that. You can place the bridge right in front of the trigger and it's going to be fine. Two more blocks to move. Well, and the bridge in the upper left, but one of the nice things here is going to be that I do have enough time after I start the chain to take that bridge to the exit before it fills in, but I only just barely have enough time. We're going to see a lot of lag here. There we go. What do we got next? Ooh, this stage. So, I think you're supposed to move a lot of those tumblers to the second level down, and then... hold on a sec. I didn't do something right here. That's alright, I'll just make it up. So you've got 4 bridges here, and I think you are supposed to... be putting detonate blocks in front of all 4 of those bridges, but instead I'm going to leave a bridge up, and I'm going to... Let's see, I will take this up. It's not in the right place. So yeah, I'm going to use that top level. I'm going to move this detonate block right over here. That's going to allow me to push the tumblers at the top without having to move them all down a level. Saves me a little bit of time. Oh, but you do need a couple of Vanish blocks up here. Because the Ascent blocks, they're not going to give you any lead time if they're pushed on. And we do have one major problem going on in that there's 6 tumblers, but we only really want one of them to be going. So the Vanish block... The Vanish blocks are going to knock each other over, so that when you start this, there is one tumbler that is ahead of the rest. That's going to help out a lot, because once we start this, then we're going to go down here, the tumbler comes down here, rebounds, we move the stop block, and then those 5 tumblers are now out of the way. But this bridge, if left here, will block the tumbler, so I do have to pick it up and move it out of the way. Because I need this tumbler to activate the tumbler that's right here. Wait a little bit, you don't want to drop this. I have destroyed the bridge by going too fast here before, so I'm good. Pick it up out of the way, just barely. And then you place it in front of the trigger block, and there you go. That's the fast version of that level. And the solution for this is different from the Super Nintendo version, so I kind of had to invent that solution. Here's going to be another shorter level. This tumbler needs to be on the right so that it can do the path in the lower left, but then you need to move this detonate block here so that the delay block falls down, activates this tumbler. You need to move this stop block out of the way so it doesn't block the Ascent block, but then you're also going to need this stop block to rebound this tumbler so that it stops on the delay block that it just knocked over. You don't do that, then the trigger block falls before the tumbler stops. Ooh, here's another one that has been really challenging for me before. So I'm not even sure how I explain this one, except that I need a way to that bottom level. So I'm going to put this explosive block right here, so that anything that falls up here... I don't want to complete this bridge just yet. But I do want to have splitters going from the top all the way down to the bottom to complete as many of these chains as I can. Put this right here. That will be my activator for the detonate block. This splitter is going to go below the other splitter because the rule of splitter below detonate block does apply, but I want to activate this splitter by dropping a block onto it. So I'm going to move it all the way to the right over there. And then, is everything good? I think so. Yeah, that all looks correct to me. So I'm going to activate the splitter now. That's going to knock over a whole lot of these blocks and then give me a way to the bottom level. Gonna move this to the right. The tumbler has to go right before the bridge. And yeah, falling down is my only way down. You cannot climb the ladder down. GI Ant will get stuck on the ladder. You have to use the explosive block to get down. Activate that, then the tumbler will go on and finish everything. And this is another stage that has caused me many resets and start overs. So this is going to be another really long stage. You only have the top half of the stage to work with, and you've got a lot of Vanish blocks and a lot of splitters. You need this tumbler here in order to activate some of the stuff down below, and then you're going to move this splitter over here, and you're gonna see some of what's at work here. You take one of these blocks, you activate the splitter, and all the Vanish blocks disappear, but we still have a lot more Vanish blocks, and we have 3 more splitters. So the solution here will be pretty clear, and it's going to take a while. But on the other hand, I don't mind it so much because then I get to listen to this music more. You do need a bridge and then a tumbler to activate more stuff down below. Both of those are going to get activated. The bridge will block the gap to the bottom, and then the tumbler will knock down everything from the bottom 2 levels. How do I keep track of all this? I don't know. It took me somewhere around 5 or 6 runs before I could beat the game without having to look up solutions mid-run. And I've practiced this a few times offline, plus getting like a month break from the game helped a lot too. Alright, so Vanish Block right there. We will need to activate it with a splitter. Yeah, you're going right to left with the splitters, and wherever possible you're using Vanish blocks so that you're not leaving a trail in your wake. You need to leave free space here so that you can knock down even more things. Let's see, I believe for this one it's nothing but Vanish blocks and a splitter. Yeah, that seems right. 2 more Vanish blocks over here. And yeah, I am getting pretty close to done here. This is the penultimate stage. There's only 1 stage after this, and that stage is going to take me about a minute to a minute and a half. So 3rd splitter here, again, activate with a dropped block, and activate it specifically with these yellows. That way the yellows disappear rather than leaving a mess. You're trying to keep a clean stage here. But this is the last splitter, so it is going to be okay to use a yellow here to be knocked down. Just don't put it on the far left. It's probably going to block something on the level below. And then I do have 1 tumbler left. That tumbler is going to be used to complete the chain of stuff at the trigger block right below. And it is safe to take this tumbler block over the edge here. You're not crashing into any dominoes that way. Place it here to complete this chain, then push. And then we've got the Diabolical final level here. Japan Zone is done. So what's Diabolical about this level? Well, you now no longer have markers on your blocks to tell you what they are, but I can tell you what they are. This one is a delay block. You have to use trial and error to figure out what is what. This is another delay block. There's a yellow block up at the top here. You're going to need an Ascent Block to reach that one. This one right here is a normal block. The trigger block is the 3rd block from the... This is the trigger. This is a stop block. Move it out of the way. This is a normal block. Place it to the left of the trigger. This is an Ascend block. Place it right here so that you will be able to get to that thing up top. This is a splitter. You're going to be dropping another block onto it to activate it. All 3 blocks up here now are just regular old blocks. By the way, I'm on a really, really good pace. So yeah, you're going to complete this chain of blocks at the bottom, and then push from the left. That will activate the trigger, and then time is going to be when the screen goes to black upon my entering the door. Up there. Oh wow, I'm going to beat 113. That's really good. Time 1:12:53 on my end. Well done. So that was a really, really, really good run, because that was a PB for me by about 2 minutes. And not only was that a PB by about 2 minutes, but it beats the Super Nintendo tool-assisted time. The Super Nintendo version has long load times, so I think I need to, I think I need to ask about splitting the game into different categories based on system, because if this is faster than the Super Nintendo tasks, then you can't compare these versions. So that's it for Pushover. That's all 100 stages, and that's a world record. Again. Anyways, I really enjoyed this game, and I enjoy running it. If you enjoyed watching, please check it out. We don't have any Amiga runs yet. We could use an Amiga run, and if there's an alpha version for Atari ST, I would love to see that as well. So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow when I do another DOS Cathlon game.